everyone, this is Persephone, and I have gotten some questions from some of my viewers who are into coming or other forms of digital sex work, and I have many other videos for you, but I'm going to prioritize this one because I realized that there are many people who watch me who may have physical disabilities or mental disabilities, or if you're like me and you have hit the jackpot, you have both, and they're interested in making money with coming. So this is what we're going to be discussing today, and let me start by telling you the positive thing that not only your disability isn't going to stop you in this job, but it can actually be the one thing that is going to make you rich. Ironically so, because in my case, I have done 24 of civilian jobs before I came on the internet, and there were many days that the money that I would make in my old jobs in a week, I would make on one cam shift, which is 9 to 10 hours. So if I didn't have autism and the other autoimmune disabilities, I would never even have thought of doing camming. So there is a silver lining in everything. I'm going to start by addressing a question of one of my viewers that she asked me about my routines because she struggles with content creation. I'm going to tell you that unfortunately, because I'm not neurotypical, I don't have the strict type of routine that many YouTubers or content creators have. So the only thing I can do is share with you things that work for me and see if they can work for you, if we can adjust them to make them work for you. Every day is different. But the things that don't change is I always have two cam goals. One is the money goal, how much I want to make that specific day, that fluctuates. Usually it's never below $100, but it could be up to 400, 500, depending on my expenses, on how well I feel, on how angry I feel, on how much I have been left behind because I was in the hospital. It varies. And the other one is the time goal, how many hours I plan to stay online. And when you are new, I believe that you should prioritize the time goal more than the money goal, because when we're building our audience, your earnings will fluctuate at first. There are very few people that they just land into coming and made a ton of money consistently. That yes, the first month when you have the new girl tag, it can be very good, but you have to use entire systems to retain the regulars, all to build an audience when you are selling content. So I would say, I've said it before, some things will be repeated. I don't care if you made $1 or $1,000 or $2,000. If your time goal is 8 hours, you are going to sit there the entire 8 hours. And if your goal is to do that every day for 1 week and observe the results, you do exactly that. Because it's very tempting, especially when you are disabled, that, oh my God, I made $200 in 1 hour. Can I just log out and rest? No. Even when it comes to disability, we're going to have to be both strict and gentle with ourselves if we want to be successful business people, because this is a business. I know that people look down on us, but they do that unless they don't know what you have been up to. Then one day you buy a building and then one day they say, oh, how can I get into coming too? But I'm not going to be petty. Let's go back to what I was saying. The second reason is that I have a bunch of other projects that I'm not sharing on YouTube because I don't want stalkers on that project, and also because I want to build results before I show you something. And one of them is writing. I'm writing in a specific platform, and there are many days that I wake up with good ideas or I write down good ideas, and I want to start my day by writing what I'm thinking. Because if you spend 8 or 9 hours on Night Flirt talking about sissies and their panties and their BBC boyfriend and more panties, after that, you're not going to be able to write anything. I feel my brain cells dying by the millions after this type of interaction for hours and hours and hours. So if there is a day that I have a task that writing is more important to me than anything else right now, I'm starting with that. If that day I don't have anything specific that I want to write and say, I get on coming right away. So to modify this, to make it a useful advice, because I don't assume that everyone who watches me writes, eat the frog first. I read this on a self-development book a long time ago. I don't remember which one, but I consider it important. So you start your day as a cam girl by doing either the most important pressuring task or the one that is the most unpleasant but needs to be done, because we have a willpower that is, I don't think that there is infinite willpower. There is a new research that says that it is, but it doesn't apply to me. So you start your day by, if you need money urgently, it's obvious that you're going to start your day doing your cam shift. If that day there is something else that needs to be done, for example, let's say you have a custom video that you need to work on that pays really well, you start from that. And last but not least, if you are disabled and you feel very bad that day, you have to start by taking care of your health, because health is wealth. Without it, we can't do anything. Now, let's go to the specific, and I'm going to address both physical disabilities and mental disabilities, and the last category that has it all. When you have a physical disability, I'm going to go with something that causes chronic pain, because there are many categories. And there are days when you are weak, there are days when you can't get out of bed. When I have an arthritis flare-up, there are times where I need 1 hour to get out of bed, literally. So you are going to start by creating a flexible schedule around your coming, which means that even if you have a time goal, let's say we have the 8 hours that I mentioned earlier, you are going to break it down to 2 hours or 3 hours, or not have a specific schedule. And this is something that is very important, that you need to communicate it with your regulars right from the get-go, because I've made many mistakes that I'm going to share here that you don't have to make. The whole point of this video is to not fall into the pitfalls that I fell. And that is, there are men who are in parasocial relationships with cam girls, and they need to see that cam girl all day, every day. It's like you're living together as roommates, or you are their mom, or you are their girlfriend, and they have to see you. They need to know that they are going to log into the campsite and you are going to be there. This is the type of regular that you would much rather shoot me in the head with a gun than have him as my regular. I can't do that, for many reasons. This is the type of regular that has the biggest possibilities to become a stalker, because he becomes overly attached, or to become an erotomaniac, or to start pressuring you, or to play mind games with you. It's also the type of regular that can pay you the most, because there are many people that, because they feel that you are part of their lives, they invest financially to that. But I believe that when you are disabled and when you don't want to end up dismembered in the suitcase, you need to think differently. So, when you start on a campsite, and even if you have already started and made that mistake, you have to say, my schedule is no steady schedule. What I say to my regulars is, I log in every day, unless I'm like really ill, but the hour fluctuates. Some days I'm earlier, some days I'm later. People who have a problem with that, right now I block them. When you are new, I don't suggest blogging right and left, but at my level, after years of doing this, I don't have time for Timmy who needs to put on big boy pants and not blackmail me and saying, oh, but I'm so sad, but I wanted to see you. Why are you on my time zone? And you're not in a different one. Oh, I haven't seen you in such a long time. This is pathetic and insane, and I will never see you as an actual functioning male if you do that. I used to say, I'm sorry, I have disabilities and I can't be steady. Now I don't even explain anymore. Use that money for a psychiatrist to deal with your insecure and anxious attachment style. I'm not a psychiatrist. So I block these people. The reason why I'm saying that you need to set the boundary right from the get-go is that it's extremely important, because there will be regulars that they're going to be totally fine with that, more normal men. And if you are consistently online every day, then you are going to build this type of following, and you are going to be making even more money than someone who is online all day, every day, because you hit a different target, different time zones. When I'm online at 3 a.m., there are different men there. When I'm online at 2 p.m., completely different audience. So even if I'm online at 3 a.m. and I haven't made a dime, there are times when I logged into at 4 p.m. and I made a ton of money. So yeah, you may not have the same type of regulars as someone who is able-bodied, but that doesn't mean that you cannot have a big audience and make a lot of money. So be very, very specific about what you want to do and communicate that. The worst mistake that I've seen people with disabilities make is that they need a lot of money, so they come for a week straight, they are online all day, every day for a week straight, they make the money, then their health problem flares up because they were abused, and then they disappear for 2 weeks. This is the best way to label yourself inconsistent psycho and lose your audience. And I've done that more times than I want to admit online, so moving on. So, like I said, if you don't feel well in the morning, you transfer your cam time for the evening, but you do the time. Okay, that makes me sound like a criminal, but you know what I mean. The specific number of hours every day has to be met. The second thing that you need to do is we're going to be using a lot of positive reinforcement when we are disabled. I know that when you are very poor, you may start to think, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to pay bills? I have credit card debt. I have kids. I have this. I have that. This is not positive motivation. What I do is I split my earnings mentally before they even start to manifest. And I say, okay, let's say that this week we need $300 extra to pay. I'm going to say I do cat fostering. There is a cat. We found it. It was a victim of a car accident. People thought it's roadkill. It was left there for 2 days. Now it's in the clinic. I want to pay the expenses. We need $300 extra for that. This is something so unpleasant that if I just say I'm going to log in extra hours for that, I know it's going to be very hard to do. So I'm saying, look, instead of making 300, how about we make 500 and the other extra 200 are going to be for me to spend any way that I want. I say this because when you have a deprivation mindset and a duty mindset in a sense of I'm coming to pay extra bills, I'm coming for this, I'm coming for that, and all of these are negative, of course you don't want to log in. Who wants to log in? There is no dopamine in that. Who is happy saying, hey, yay, I paid the water bill this month, high five? No one does that. This is insane. So I would say, inflate your goal a bit, $50, $100, $200, $3,000, depends on what you want, the sky is the limit, and the rest of the money are going to be unapologetically for you to spend. Because you have the disability, you have all of this bullshit in your plate already, so you need to spend to give yourself dopamine. Recently, the price for the show was, I think, $2.5 a minute, because I always give a discount when it's over 1 hour. And recently he wanted the show at a time that was very inconvenient for me, and he wanted me to buy extra outfits. And I said, I'm going to have to raise the price for $3 to $3 a minute, which wasn't like a big raise because I have to order the outfits, I have to go get them from the post office, and then you wanted like 2 weeks from now at an hour that I have to inconvenience myself. And he said no. And when I said, okay, if you don't want the price increase, then we're not going to do it. So I'm just saying, I don't get out of my way to do a lot for pennies, which is what a lot of these men want, and you shouldn't either. And make sure to not start with prices that they are very low, because when you start raising them, they are going to start complaining. When it comes to disability, do you share it with people, yes or no? Again, this is a mixed bag. I don't want to tell people to compromise their medical privacy and their personal privacy if you don't feel comfortable doing that. I have reached the point of extreme oversharing because it shuts people up, and also because it may make people want to support you more, not necessarily in a pity way, but when someone says, do you use anal toys? I'm like, no. And when people want to say, why not? I said, because it makes my IBS worse. And people don't insist after that, and slowly it starts to weed out people who want this kind of service. Of course, you do attract the occasional weird person who is going to say, hey, can you make an enema video? Can you send me a colonoscopy video? No. I mean, like I said, when you need a lot of money, I'm not going to tell you to not sell a colonoscopy video if you have one, but this is not something that I currently want to sell. Maybe in 1 year I'm going to be selling it. Who knows? Another thing that you need to do when you have a disability is that you are going to have to start taking very, very good care of your health, of what you eat, of how you exercise, way more than before. Because a lot of people with disabilities ended up this way because of abuse, either abuse from your family or genetics, your genes got expressed and you develop it, or if you have mental illness, something traumatic happened, or many traumatic things. And when this happened, I see a challenge with self-care that I also see on myself. So you are going to see the self-care as part of your job, as boring as that may sound. That you're going to have to start doing some form of exercise, because coming is a very sedentary job. It's essentially a hermit job. And if you're already an introvert, or if you're traumatized, or if you have chronic pain and you're isolated, it's very easy to become super isolated and lose touch with regular society and not make even 50 steps per day. And like Hormozi the businessman says, if it can be measured, then it can be scaled. What does that mean for our coming right now? So you're going to download one of these apps that they have step count, and you're going to aim to make the 10,000 steps a day. For me, that I started to run again, I have that, and I also have a running app, but I don't suggest doing forms of exercise that are more challenging. We're going to start with walking, which is something that almost everyone can do. So you're going to tell yourself, I have to do these 10,000 steps during the day too. It's part of my CAM shift. I don't care if it's going to be 5,000 and 5,000 or 10,000 at once, or if you're going like a centipede with arthritis, or if you're cursing and going because you don't want to go, it has to be done. And when it comes to diet, personally, what I eat is, when I'm really sick, I eat carnivore. I'm going to talk about that in future videos. The other times I eat mostly keto or ketovore or some paleo when I can tolerate it. I have rewards with food for when I'm feeling well. For example, protein bars that they are good quality, or energy drinks that they are good quality. I try to not drink Red Bull and other stuff that they are like very bad for you, to get better quality ones. And you have to have specific goals when it comes to your weight and your health. Like recently I purchased the second health insurance plan that gives unlimited checkups. And I did that because I get checked when I go to the hospital, which is again pretty much every month, but I want to go to a different doctor to get some more checkups too. And I'm not suggesting necessarily doing that many checkups, but I would say every 3 to 6 months, depending on your health, see where you're going. Because I have met CAM girls that they let themselves go. I don't blame them. I mean, it can happen. But they gained a lot of weight. For example, let's say you are coming all day and you don't exercise anymore, and it's so easy to order takeout when you are mentally exhausted and you don't even want to cook. So you put on 40 pounds over 2 years, and then one day you wake up and you are pre-diabetic. You wake up and you have high blood pressure or some other problem that it seems that it came out of nowhere. I don't want this to happen to you or to me. We already have a lot on our plate, so make the self-care part of the job. There are days where I have to force myself to eat, and there are days when I have to force myself to not eat because I'm fasting. And it's some days you're just cursing like David Goggins, who is one of the people I really respect. Now I'm going to answer one more question that someone asked me. Struggling to make content. Oh my God, this is something that I go through periods that I struggle so much, to the point that I would rather rip my own hair out than film content, especially content that I don't want to film. That's one reason I have closed customs. I don't know if I'm going to reopen them or not, ever, because it's usually very creepy things and very specific things that they don't resonate with me. And also I usually cannot resell them, because either the customer doesn't want me to sell them to someone else, or because they're so creepy that if I put them into my video store, people are going to say, dude, what is wrong with you? Seek mental help. So here's what I do with content that I can recommend. One thing is what I already said. You get up in the morning and you film the damn video first things first, and then you spend the day slowly editing it. The other thing is, this sounds counterintuitive, but it works for me. Aim to film a very big video in steps. So when I have a custom, or when I have a video that is going to be really big, that I really hate and I don't want to do, my definition of big is a video that is over 20 minutes. Now they're going to say, you lazy sloth, is a video that is 20 minutes long. No, but in order for me to produce 20 minutes of content, I have to film for at least 2 hours, because there are many things that go wrong that I have to redo them. So I'm breaking down the video in parts. Something that a lot of men who buy my content don't know is that my content is filmed like a movie, which means that I don't feel the way the video is progressing as you watch it. I feel the way it feels more comfortable for me. So let's say you have to use fake lube to present fake semen in your video. I'm trying to make it YouTube friendly. I may film that first using the toys, and then I can film the role play where we start saying something. Let's say, okay, I'm going to use an example. Let's say I'm your side piece and I'm very obsessed with you and I want to steal you from your wife, and I show up in your house unannounced and I start seducing you and I start talking trash about your wife, which is really horrible, but it sells well, so here we are. So maybe I'm going to film the part after the ejaculation with the fake lube first, and maybe I'm going to film the whole seduction thing where I'm teasing you and I'm taking off my shirt seductively 3 hours later. And now if you're going to say, why would you do that? It's because when I'm really overwhelmed, I film the easy parts first, and then the other parts can be in 2 hours, in 3 hours, and every time I do that, I reward myself again and again when I hate it. Which means I'm telling myself, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to watch an episode of, let's say, I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale right now, I'm going to watch an episode of that afterwards and I'm going to work out. Or I'm going to read a chapter of a book that I just bought, or do something else. You'll find a way to reward yourself. That is the positive way. And I'm going to close the video with the negative way that works extremely well for me. It works better than anything else, but you may not be like me, so I'm just sharing it for the sake of sharing it. From my experience, love isn't the strongest force in the world. Hate is, and anger. And David Goggins is the best example that I have found in real life, so you should look at his content and his philosophy. David Goggins says that motivation is bullshit, his exact words, because it comes and goes. And I have found that to be true for me too. There are days where making a lot of money doesn't work. Rewarding myself doesn't work. Feeling that I have to do this to be a good professional and not disappear and ghost people doesn't work. But there is one thing that works for me every time. Using the haters as fuel. So I'm going to finish with a super creeper, stalker, psychopath advice that has allowed me to make 5 digits in some months. That may work for you. Get in touch with your anger. If you are disabled, and if you are struggling right now financially, because let's face it, no one gets into the sex industry because they have a good life. At least I have yet to meet even one person. The majority of people that I have met who are at like 99.999% are people that they had a very bad family of origin, people who had kids with someone who is a deadbeat and doesn't pay and they have to do whatever it takes to feed their kids, people who come from horrible countries where the salary is like $10 a month and you are trapped and you are never going to get out. So you are looking for alternatives. People who are disabled, again, in countries where the welfare is a joke. So there is a pretty good chance that you have reasons to be angry. And you are not utilizing them because everyone is telling you that being angry is a bad thing, that being angry is going to kill you. Why haven't I ever heard anyone telling me depression is a bad thing? Depression is going to become a psychosomatic illness and ruin your body and your mind. Depression is what essentially is anger turned against yourself that allows evil people to roam in this world and harm everyone in their path and then laugh all the way to the bank because no one has the courage to do anything against them. So I would say the first step is start journaling, document your life. And if you don't have someone that you hate right away, which I find really admirable because I have a lot of people that I hate, find a reason to be angry. And then when times get really, really hard, use that anger as fuel. Because I'm telling you, in a world that would be better than today's late-stage capitalist dystopia, if you have the level of disability that traps you in the house and makes you suffer, you wouldn't have to work at all. At least I think you wouldn't have to work, and your full-time job would be to rebuild your physical and mental health without having the added stress of financial instability and honestly future terror. There are people who became homeless and you see them every day.